Hello and welcome to Analyst Hangout. I am Perpetual Fasami Peter. Well, joining me on the show today are Ambrose Omodio, the Chief Research Officer for Invest Data Consulting Limited. Thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And of course, joining me also today is Charles Fakroha, a stockbroker and business analyst. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Joining virtually, we have Garuba Kurfi, the MD CEO, APT Securities Limited. Thank you for joining us, sir. Mr. Garuba, if you can hear me, thanks for joining us. All right, and of course, later on the show, we'll have a special appearance, but I'll keep that until later on. And so we'll begin with the stock market report for today. And Nigeria's equities market witnessed another session of negative close on Friday as investors remain cautious in anticipation of the upcoming Monetary Policy Committee, that's the MPC meeting that will hold next week. The market decreased by 0.3% at the close of trading today, causing the all-share index to close at 49,026.62 basis points. The market capitalization closed at 26.44 trillion naira, while the total volume of transactions settled at 169.18 million units, valued at 3.19 billion naira in over 3,000 deals. Well, that's what we had today. And of course, if you've been following the market, you would see that it hasn't been very friendly. And then we have Mr. Omodio here to talk to us about that.
Yeah, actually, I would say that the market has been a downtrend for almost 1 week now. It tried to make a kind of rebounds on Tuesday, but on Thursday it gave up.
Yeah.
And also, I won't be surprised that the local market is also responding to the global trend that is happening, especially the recent rate hike across the globe, especially in the US and the Eurozone. That also has kind of put a kind of shake or fear to the local investor here that we might also follow that same trend in our own MPC. Already, people are since they released the
all right, Mr. Omodio was talking about how the market fared, and for him, he's saying that it feels the local market is beginning to respond to the global economic issues, really.
Yeah, actually, since the deflation, the data came out, last week, and we crossed the 20% mark in terms of interest rate inflation, that percent of flag inflation. That also have set both the pension managers, retail investors, shaking, because now as we speak now, no kind of investment window you want to say you are earning close to that figure, and that is why everybody is registered to see what the MPC will do. Naturally, if MPC leave the inflation, with the interest
MPR
interest rate unchanged, fine for the market. But if they also inch it off, that will see the market will be some opportunity to affect both equity and everything like the first week. But after that, direction will also be given. So those that want to really look for where to edge will be there. Those that want to really say, let me hold cash, but holding cash is, you are doing yourself a harm. Because if you are holding cash now, you are really just, for me, the market for me is a place not to know the big boys and also and the small boys.
All right.
I'm not thinking that.
I think I'd like you to. Okay.
At any given time, whether there's uncertainty in the market, there's opportunity for people to make money. That is why you need to have to combine your fundamental and technical. I tell you that the more market becomes more volatile, more opportunity, more risk. But you have to know that way to put your money.
Okay. Now, very quickly, looking at the MPC meeting, which we expect to come up by next week, what are your expectations?
Well, I think in an earlier show, I have mentioned that I hope and I know that the members of the MPC, they are vast in issues of monetary policy and, of course, the capital market. I don't see them as people who are inflation hawks. That is, you just keep increasing inflation because you just keep increasing your MPR because inflation rate is also going up. For me, I think if I'm a member of that committee, it's going to be really deliberate.
But
but I will advise that yes, what I will expect them to do, if you leave the rate unchanged, that's also an issue. If you increase the rate, that's also an issue.
Let me come in here. There are those who will say that if you're talking about inflation, for you to be able to address inflation, you need to look at the type of inflation it is. Now, the type of inflation we're dealing with then determines the tool we're going to use to address it. Isn't that supposed to be the case?
Yes, I agree with you. Yes, we will say yes, it's cost push inflation.
Exactly.
But you see, the economy is whole, so we need an integrated approach.
Okay.
So once you have monetary policy, just one aspect of it to control your inflation. We need to also look at the other fiscal policy, production. We need to produce.
Just to add to what my colleague just said now, if you look at around the globe now, I would say that the central banks of the world or the committees, they are just looking at the inflation expectation. They are not looking at the real inflation. because expectation is what they're going to continue to hike rate because continue to increase. And that expectation is what they're doing. Look at this real inflation. What is it doing to the economy? Is it doing harm or good to the economy? Like I just said, if we have what we call liquidity push inflation, you can continue to hike your interest rate to mop up the liquidity out of the system.
Exactly.
Then, if not, this is not liquidity push inflation, you need to think outside the box. That is why I said people that the policymakers should also turn around now and think, what else can we do? If we are thinking to follow the trend of mature economy, the Western world, for our own local economy, I said we are getting it wrong somewhere.
Exactly.
And at the same time, this is time for us also to look at inward, what are those things that are also influencing our cost here. We know that it's energy, which we know what is the cost today. We know that it's oil price, and at the same time, the exchange market is most important in this foreign exchange.
These are things that should be addressed.
Exactly. And I believe that at this point, federal government also should go and take care of what security. Once we take care of our security to a level, our farmers will go back to the farm. We'll now start seeing what goods coming out. And now, even though we are already in the harvest season, as we speak, because the quantity of food coming out of the farm won't match demand, price will remain high because people are not at home because of fear of bandits and all those stuff. I believe that it's a holistic thing. Both the monetary aspect and the fiscal should shake their hand at this point now. And not just because UK have increased their interest rate, US have done that, Switzerland have done the same thing.
We have other guests who are joining us virtually. And so before we move on to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers bill and all that, I'd like Mr. Garba to comment on this just for a brief moment.
Well, we have said it, that really the market surprised us. It will go further down for the whole of the week. But we are expecting that the coming week, the market will rebound back.
Exactly.
In the fact that we are having end of the quarter, in the fact that we are expecting NPC and we are expecting the NPC decision to retain all others without changing the rate. Because if they really change the rate, it will worsen the situation of the market. We hope that they will maintain the MPR and all other rates to remain the same. So being the end of the quarter and end of the month, we are expecting the market to bounce back, and all sin is not lost.
All right, that's
Thank
interesting.
You, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so very quickly, let's move on to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and other stakeholders in the Nigerian capital market have backed a bill to prohibit Ponzi and pyramid schemes as well as other illegal investment platforms in Nigeria. The bills were a bill for an act to repeal the Investment and Security Act 2007 and enact the Investment and Securities Bill to establish Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for the Nigerian capital market, as well as regulation of the market to ensure capital formation, the protection of investors, maintain fair, efficient and transparent market, and reduction of systematic risk and for related matters. And the bill for an act to repeal the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers Cap C9 Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and provide for the establishment of the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments and related matters. You know, I mentioned earlier that we have a special guest who is joining us, and it's at this point that I'll introduce our special guest. This is the first time we're having a female analyst join us, so you might as well clap if you want to.
And that's my brain.
You are welcome.
All right, okay. Well, joining us is Nkoli Edoka, the MD of Cowrie Securities. Good to have you join us today, ma'am. Hello, if you can hear me, we are glad to have you join us today. If you can hear me, please let me know.
Yeah, I can hear you very well, but I don't know whether you can hear me because I've said thank you for inviting me over.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. We're glad to have you. Now, I would like you to, talk to us about this particular bill now. The Director General of SEC, that's Lamido Yuguda, during his presentation, said Nigeria needs and deserves an internationally competitive and well-functioning capital market to facilitate the ongoing economic diversification. And then he believes that the passage as well as the enactment of the Investment and Securities Bill will be a pivotal step in that direction. What are your thoughts?
Well, he's right. Our DG is right in that direction because he believes in the ability of the stockbrokers to move the economy forward. He believes that the passage of the bill will, bring in more quality or more skilled professionals into the capital market. Hence, he's pushing for it. If you take it, if the bill is signed into law, it's going to ensure that the people that are professionals practicing in the capital market will be well regulated. How? They are going to make sure that they get the prerequisite knowledge and also continue training and retraining of these professionals, and they actually get to govern them as in one-on-one, and that will help to eliminate both these Ponzi schemes and every other similar schemes that is in the country. So, and that will also bring in some efficiency in the profession and in the capital market as a whole.
All right, you were part of that hearing. Talk to us. What are your thoughts generally about that particular bill? Are there special clauses that are very dear to you? Hello, if you can hear me. All right, I guess we lost connection there. Okay, very quickly, let's have your thought on this particular bill. Talk to us about what it offers us.
Yes, you know that obviously the challenge of stockbrokers, with their sister trade union, Action, and of course other stakeholders in the market, we are doing everything possible to see how we can have a market where everybody will say, this is our market, and there will be fair transparency. Then even the systematic risk will be reduced. We will see people who operate in this market who are the real professionals, whether they are providing data or whether they are educating the investors. These are supposed to be quality people that have been trained, regulated. So we'll see a market where, apart from satisfying domestic investors, we also want to attract foreign investors to come. Because if your market is not well regulated, there is asymmetry of communication, according to those in the media, where the operators have better information, they are more skilled, they take advantage of the investors, and there are no ways to address some of these abnormalities. And that's why we saw what happened in the market in the past. A lot of investors, there are some scrupulous operators dealt with some of these investors, and some of them vow that they will not come back to the market. So what this bill seeks to do is to ensure that anybody that's operating in this market, whether you're a portfolio manager, you're a fund manager, you're a stockbroker, you're an investment advisor, everybody has to be regulated, uniform regulation, and that is what all the stakeholders are pushing for.
All right, and what that means is that those who used to sell other people's shares without their knowledge will not be able to do that
of
again.
Course. They'll be there, but there are enough measures to take care of them.
Okay, that's fine. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, just let me just add to it.
Okay.
Like he just said, and our colleague offline said that the bill is a welcome development. I agree, 100% it's a welcome development. But I think in Nigeria, we are good in either making law or making policy or going for a bill to be signed into law. But implementation has been the problem in this country. This is not the first time we are presenting this kind of being approved from past DGs and all, but we have not seen the difference in the market. I think it will go beyond the paper nothing or the sentence in the bill. We should put that into action to bring that. We're talking about Ponzi scheme. Ponzi scheme is thriving in Nigeria because there is not enough education for them to know where they should put their money. Because when you don't have it to put your money, you think of where you can do it quick return. That's why they're going there. If SEC can sit down, NS can sit down, operators like my brother here and the brother that just put can just put their heads together and make sure that the masses are educated. If you're looking at enhancing your status as either chartered or not chartered, you are just within yourself. But we're going to service the world, the public. If the gap between the public you are servicing and you is small, that's like he just said. That is where you can take do and but I believe that we should educate Nigeria so that we can attract them more back to the market, because since 2007, 2008, people got their but most of them are still sitting on the fence. It's just because these days we're trying to put them back gradually. But if the regulators put their for example, now I want to just say one or two things as regard that training. NGS once a while do work on investor education through Zoom, and that is for those that are already in the market. We have those informal people that are on the street that you are not bringing this place that you have a lot of fun that are untouched. Bring them to, but those people are not being rich. I think we should take the model. That's why if this bill will be implemented, it's not only just if implemented, have a decentralized style of training. The training they give to my organ here, it's not for the training you give the man on the street. You have different models to attract this people. When that is done,
can I just say something? 30 seconds.
Well, we don't even have that time now. Well, Mrs. Nkoli, just before you go, I'd like you to respond to what Mr. Charles Omodio just said, just before you go, in less than 2 minutes.
Okay, what did he say? Which of them? He said a whole lot of things there.
Oh, well, just respond to anyone you want to respond to.
Okay, yeah, I would say that passage of this bill is going to bring the professionals in the capital market together. Is going to, because if you agree with me, if you go to any other jurisdiction, even as an ICAM person, you must have to undergo their courses and to be well integrated into their system. Thereby they know you and they take you through how they want their system to be. So by passage of this bill, it means that all professionals in the capital market will also come under one umbrella and do the practice their profession. It's either if you are not, if you know your areas, CIS covers almost all those certification. They run certification courses. You come, it doesn't take you even up to a month. You get certified.
Okay, let me come in here now. He was more particular about the ordinary people, the ones who are being cheated or the ones who end up being victims of Ponzi schemes. So he's saying that beyond the certification that goes on within the industry among the players, there is also the need to educate the common man, that man who is eager to invest in one instrument or the other. There is that need to educate that man so he understands the difference between a Ponzi scheme and that which is well regulated and certified. That's what he talked about.
Yeah, that's right. So by the time this bill is signed and all professionals come into under one umbrella, they should be able to develop a means and strategies of creating this awareness. In any way you are, you know that you already have the responsibility. If we want to eliminate Ponzi scheme, then we have one aim and we devise a strategy to see how we eliminate them. By creating all this awareness, if all of us in the profession join hands to create awareness, I tell you it will be eliminated.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
All right, so moving on, Oscar Onyema's 11 years of leading the Nigerian Exchange Group is being called to question over alleged poor financial management and lack of value creation for shareholders. Since March 2021, when the exchange went public, the board and management haven't proposed or offered its over 400 shareholders dividends, which means investors that invested in NGX Group haven't received the necessary value for their investment. However, a year before, the directors of NGX Group awarded themselves over 200.41 million ordinary shares worth 5.57 billion naira. That's when you peg it alongside the price. That's the opening price of 27 naira 90 kobo per share as a deferred bonus plan to keep them in the company for a specified period. Now, aside from the shares they gifted to themselves at the 2020 annual general meeting, they also proposed that a sum of 126 million naira be approved by shareholders as payment to the non-executive directors of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In a document dated September 14, 2022, Olajuwon and Ibirunke, representing a class of shareholders of NGX Group through their solicitors, SO&C Legal, demanded that the management halt some resolutions it plans to ask for passage through a proxy on September 30, 2022. Now, part of the resolutions include raising additional capital of 35 billion naira, with 15 billion naira of the amount expected to come from debt and 20 billion naira from equity. The shareholders, through their counsel, are questioning why the management wants to borrow 15 billion naira when it has unissued shares from which the sum can be raised. They also argue that NGX Group remains viable, so the loan is unwarranted. Well, this will be our talking point when we'll come back from this break. We'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll dive right into this conversation. Stay with us, don't go away. went on that timeout. And now I'd like to hear from both of you. That's Mr. Omodion and Mr. Omodion and Mr. Charles. Okay, so who goes first?
Yeah, let the bucket player.
Okay, let's have you.
Alaji is online too.
Yes,
He's a market player.
Alaji's own is special. Okay, let's start with him.
Let my do it start.
Mr. Garba, talk to us.
Yes.
Mr. Garba, if you can hear me, I'd like you to talk to us. All right. Well, let's start with you, Mr. Omodio.
Okay. For me, you know, I've said it earlier in this program that for NGS to be asking for additional funds at this time, that
the share was allotted to the broking dealing firms. So we, the brokers, got the majority shareholders. But what is our position today? That portion of searching for the management, it was something that agreed long time ago. I was one in a council and we are aware of it. And even the guy who was raising the issue, he was in the council at the same time with me, and we are aware of those arrangements. So executing what was stated earlier.
All right, Mr. Garba, we can barely hear you, but in the meantime, you just hold on while we hear what Mr. Omodio has to say.
Well, actually, at the beginning last week, I said that there is no need for them coming to market to raise funds now, because the industry where they are all over the world is money spinning an industry that even close eyes, you are still making money. Coming for additional fund at this time is what people are really questioning. And also, I would allow them to allow for like another 2 years to solidify after the demonetization, and also make money to even reward their shareholders before you cannot ask for. And also, like what reason that if you have additional shares, why are you going for another IPO? Can't you not just go the way of either right issue to ask them? That means because you have not performed well, you are not finding to approach your shareholder for additional funds. Because Alhaji said that
it's not even the issue of
Alhaji just said now that the major shareholders are the operators who agree. Also, they understand the industry. That here that is a money spinning business they are into. For me, I think that they are so fast in asking for an additional fund. Like people are calling for forensic audit for the operation on the last day. If for me they feel that things are properly done, they have good auditor, I think they can go and let the public see what is happening.
Okay.
That's the right way to
we'll come back to you very quickly, Mr. Fakro. Let's have your thought.
Yes.
I want you to come in from, the rebuttal by NGX.
Okay. Of course, like anything that happens anywhere, of course, you have the corporate communication people, of course, they will respond to kind of put the issues in perspective. Yes, the NGS has come out openly and have said most of all these things they were being accused of already in public domain, and they are still committed to corporate governance. Alhaji alluded that he was in council when some of these things were discussed and agreed, and most of the senior brokers are aware of this issue. So coming out now, yes, some persons expected so much returns from the NGS, virtually most of the trading license holders now, yes, that once it was listed, even in the OTC market or even in the NGS itself, the price will go up so well because the NGS, we all believe that it's doing so well. He said it's a money spinner. We all know that. But they are now saying that the prices didn't move as expected. So for the NGS group now coming to say they want to raise money is making some of them to feel a little bit uneasy. And that's why all these issues are coming up now. Yeah, but for me, as a player, I would just say, let the professionals, the consultants for the NGS group, look at their books very well, advise so that everybody will be on the same page.
All right. Well, Mr. Garba, if you can hear me, all the stock and cash rewards were made despite poor financial performance in the same year, 2020, suffering a 93.96 million naira operating loss. Now, despite escaping from the group of loss in full year 2021 with 281.84 million naira, the management spent 56.07% of its 5.77 billion naira revenue on about 200 personnel within 12 months last year. But total expenses, 6.51 billion naira, surpassed the turnover. let's get your reaction to now. This is what I want you to react to. I totally understand that. Well, they had meetings, people were there, people agreed, but beyond the fact that people agreed, there is that part where you probably agree to a thing where you don't know so much, and then someone opens your eye to certain information, and then it occurs to you that you probably agreed in ignorance. Talk to us about this.
Well, the truth of the matter that NGX moved from the guarantee by the shareholders to now into the mutualize. And what people they don't seem to understand, it worked like government in the past. Remember that we have exchange in Ibadan branch, we have Kaduna branch, we have Port Harcourt branch, we have Yola branch, we have Bauchi branch, and what have you. We don't need all this. But at that was the request of the government. Before Lagos exchange become Nigerian exchange, one of the conditions was given to them to open Kaduna branch and Port Harcourt branch. With all those overhead, people have to bear them now that they have OMS system that you can trade not even in the country and beyond the country. They don't need those branches. Yes. So in attempt to streamline this, they have to ask some of the staff to go, and they have to take care of their needs and their pension gratuity. And all these add to this. So I say it is in transition. And I don't have anything to worry about it because this will not last again. We are in the system. We know the current staff now doesn't have this. If you look at their half-year result, you can see changes. And we believe that change will continue to manifest over a period of time. In terms of
Mr. Garba,
you must explain what you are going to do with the money, and the purpose must be in accordance with the objective of the investors, otherwise they will not get that money.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I would have pressed for more, but we're pressed for time. So let's move on. Now, at the end of a court-ordered meeting in Lagos, the shareholders of Sterling Bank approved the carve-out and transfer of the bank's non-interest banking business to the Alternative Bank Limited under a proposed scheme of arrangement between Sterling Bank and the holders of its fully paid-up ordinary shares of 50 kobo each. All the shareholders who attended the meeting approved the initiative and commended the foresight of the directors. They also advised the board and management to work hard to nurture new businesses in a bid to enhance the growth of the holding company. Now, following the implementation of the scheme, shareholders will exchange their shares in the bank for shares in Holdco in the same proportion as their current holdings, which will be a regulated entity for CBN purposes. Mr. Garba, I would like you to talk to us about this very quickly. What's the import of this?
Well, what I see that is, this is what the board have prepared and the shareholder required. So wish them the best, and let us see that this turn out to be more profit for the organization and better earning and better dividend. Okay. Because if of all doing this and did not translate into Naira and Kobo, then it will be too bad for the company.
All right, thank you. Naira and Kobo, very important. All right, let's hear you.
Just like you just said that, it's true that most of these financial institutions are going to becoming a holding company. And, the reason is that, before now they have what called universal license, and then they can do all the business. But now with doing only standing on your banking activity, with the help of Holdco, you can see that you can do other business to add to the bottom line. For me, I believe that Sterling Bank before now, in olden days when it was now they are really known for capital market business. Exactly. Then holding them when we are still learning about this capital market. Now I believe that now that they are coming back to as a whole company, they should also look the way of that angle as business that they have kind of experience, and they have all it takes to also to expand their business. At the end of the day, like I said, number will speak for them. Not going to a holding company that matters. At the end of the day, you can see that also what has happened in ABN Holding before now. When they were down with a non-performing loan, the other subsidiaries were supported to pay the 30 kobo, 38 kobo, 40 kobo. But now they are passing back. If you can see the impact of all this on them, look at what is happening in Stanbic IBTC. I believe that is a good move for Sterling. But at the end of the day, we want to see reflecting on the numbers. That will give us smile as investor in the bank.
All right, investors always want to smile.
Well, okay,
we'll come back. We'll start with you. Thank you. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll move on to comparative analysis of other financial institutions' H1 earnings. Stay with us.